Hey, welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, glad you made it. Today we're diving deep into something that could change your life. How to stop letting your feelings hold you back and start building the future you deserve. This is all about discipline, action, and unlocking your true potential. If you're ready to level up, hit that subscribe button right now, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a drop of this kind of fire content. Let's get into it. Your future self is watching, so let's make it worth their while. Your emotions are master manipulators. They whisper seductive promises of ease, convincing you that you're too weary, too fragile, or too unprepared to push forward. They paint a picture of surrender as a noble retreat, assuring you that stepping back today will somehow fuel a grander effort tomorrow. They cradle you in a soft illusion that staying still is safer than stepping into the storm. But that's the deception at work. Emotions aren't architects of your destiny. They're gatekeepers of stagnation. They don't hunger for your growth or ache for your triumphs. Their only mission is to anchor you in the familiar, to shield you from the sharp edges of effort and the weight of ambition. They'll dress up complacency as wisdom, but it's a costume that hides the truth. Staying comfortable is the slowest way to fade. Real progress demands defiance. Every meaningful achievement, whether it's a championship ring on Michael Jordan's finger or a legacy carved by Kobe Bryant's relentless drive, emerges from a furnace of discomfort. Strength isn't forged when the path is smooth. It's hammered into existence when you face resistance head-on. To yield to your emotions is to trade your potential for a fleeting sigh of relief, a bargain that leaves your future self impoverished. You don't need to feel ready to act. Waiting for inspiration is a myth that keeps dreamers on the sidelines. The giants of history didn't pause for a surge of enthusiasm. They moved when their bodies begged for rest, when doubt roared louder than confidence. Jordan didn't win 6 titles because he felt like practicing every day. He won because he showed up when he didn't. Action ignites momentum, and momentum breeds the fire you thought you lacked. That's the secret. The doing comes first, and the feeling follows. When your emotions nudge you to linger in bed, rise with purpose. When they coax you to coast through the day, double your resolve and charge toward your goals. When they plead with you to abandon the fight, anchor yourself in the spark that first set you ablaze. Heed those whispers and you'll remain tethered to the present, unchanged, untested. Defy them, and you'll carve a path to a force no one can reckon with. You're not fragile. You're not powerless. You're not a puppet dancing to the strings of fleeting moods. There's a fire within you that outshines the shadows of doubt, a strength that dwarfs the chatter of insecurity. The only barrier between you and the existence you crave is your willingness to silence the deception and step boldly into action. The instant you wrest control from your emotions is the moment you seize the reins of your fate. Greatness is sculpted one choice at a time. Each time you pick grit over ease, each time you trade excuses for effort, each time you drown out the voice that insists you're not enough, you claim a victory. Kobe Bryant once said, "If you're going to be a leader, you're not going to please everybody. You've got to hold people accountable." That starts with holding yourself accountable, building a legacy not on what feels good, but on what moves you forward. So what's it going to be? Will you slump there, letting your emotions dictate your story, or will you rise, seize the pen, and rewrite the narrative? The decision rests in your hands. If you're searching for a signal to begin, let this be it. Your time is now. Move. Act. Break the chains your feelings forge. The version of you waiting on the horizon, the disciplined, unbreakable soul you aspire to be, is watching today's steps, not tomorrow's promises. Today marks the turning point where you silence the illusions. Your emotions will claw at you, dragging you toward the soft embrace of ease. But ease is a silent thief. It robs you of progress. That cozy refuge is where aspirations wither, where potential fades into echoes of what could have been. Every moment you opt for comfort over challenge, you drift further from the life you're meant to claim, settling into a shadow of your true capacity, and you know in your bones you were built for greater things. You don't need a wave of enthusiasm to charge toward your purpose. You don't need a perfect mood to break through barriers. All it takes is a single step, a deliberate push, a refusal to let fleeting feelings steer your course. Michael Jordan didn't sink game-winning shots because he always felt invincible. He did it because he trusted the grind over the whims of emotion. Action is the spark. The fire comes after. Look around at those who've surrendered to their inner voices. Where do they stand? Frozen in time, tangled in loops of regret, reciting the same tired justifications while their dreams gather dust. They're the cautionary tales, the ones who let comfort dictate their days. But that's not your story. You're here to rewrite the script, to rise above the ordinary. You'll choose the harder path. You'll lace up your shoes when exhaustion begs you to stop. You'll push through the reps when your mind screams for rest. You'll stand tall when others fade into the background. That's the divide between those who merely exist and those who conquer. Kobe Bryant once said, "Great things come from hard work and perseverance. No excuses." That's your blueprint. Relentless, unshakable, forged in the moments you refuse to bend. Champions don't lean on alibis. They don't let their inner tides steer their course. They don't sit idle, waiting for a gust of inspiration. They ignite it themselves. Day after day they show up, rain or shine, fueled not by fleeting desire, but by an ironclad commitment. When they stumble, they don't wallow or point fingers at fate. They dust off, recalibrate, and charge back into the fray. The sting of struggle is fleeting, but the weight of what-ifs lingers eternally. Fatigue will creep in, uncertainty will whisper. That nagging voice will urge you to ease up, to pause, to fold. But you'll turn a deaf ear to it. You'll stand firm, knowing that discomfort is a forge, not a prison, and that every battle you weather carves you closer to your core. Emotions aren't your compass, your will is. They'll ebb and flow like shadows, but they don't hold the truth of who you are. Michael Jordan said, "I've failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." It's not the doubt you feel that shapes your story, it's the steps you take despite it. Your legacy isn't etched in passing moods, it's chiseled by the choices you make when the odds tilt against you. You don't need to feel invincible to begin, you don't need a surge of power to press on. All it takes is that first move and then another and another, until the rhythm of persistence drowns out the noise. So draw the line here now. Vow that from this breath forward, you'll no longer bow to emotional tides or heed the siren call of mediocrity. You'll claw, you'll hustle, you'll fight tooth and nail for the existence you're destined to claim. Ultimately, it's not the emotions that dance through you that matter, it's the deeds you dared to do. Rise now and seize the task at hand. Stand up and dive in. No cavalry is riding to your rescue. No one's poised to shoulder your burden or gift-wrap your victories. The universe doesn't tally your justifications, it measures your moves. If you linger, hoping for the stars to align, banking on a rush of zeal to propel you, you'll be stranded in an endless wait. The clock ticks indifferent to your hesitation. Kobe Bryant once declared, "We don't quit, we don't cower, we don't run, we endure and conquer." Those who summit life's peaks aren't the ones who paused for perfect conditions. They're the ones who pressed on when every fiber of their being begged for retreat. You're cut from that same cloth. The same resilience pulses within you, the same capacity to grit your teeth and overcome. But it's not a gift bestowed, it's a choice claimed, day after relentless day. The legends didn't rise because they felt unstoppable. They rose because they acted despite the ache, the fear, the weariness, because they did what demanded doing, no matter the cost. Your psyche is a war zone, and your emotions are the saboteurs. They'll murmur that you're drained, that you've earned a reprieve, that you're too small to climb this mountain. Shut them out. When they claw at your resolve, hold fast to this truth. Feelings flicker and fade, but the fruits of your labor endure. So plant your flag today, stake your claim on the life you're meant to live, and let your actions roar louder than your doubts. The session you dodge because your spirit sags, that's a retreat from your own strength. The chance you sidestep because fear grips you, that's a gate slamming shut. The ambition you abandon when the climb steepens, that's a vision slipping into the void. Each surrender chips away at the monument you could build, leaving you with less than you're capable of becoming. The sting of that truth cuts deepest in quiet moments. You'll carry the weight of knowing you had more to give, that untapped potential simmered within you, but you let fleeting whims talk you into a smaller story. Regret doesn't shout. It haunts, a shadow cast by the chances you didn't seize. Michael Jordan once said, "I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying." To let your emotions veto your effort is to sign a pact with a lesser self. Don't let that be your legacy. When that inner voice nudges you toward surrender, square your shoulders and push back. When the path of least resistance beckons, choose the steep ascent instead. When your feelings rise up to leash you, wrest the reins and steer your course. You're not here to drift, you're here to dominate the doubts that dare to define you. What divides the triumphant from the stagnant isn't luck or talent. It's discipline, raw and unyielding. The ones who rise don't ride the waves of mood. They row against the current, stroke by stroke, until the shore is theirs. That power lives in you too, a quiet, stubborn force waiting to be unleashed. Tap into it, wield it, and let it carve your name among those who refuse to fold. Discipline is the art of doing what must be done, even when every instinct resists. It's hauling yourself out of bed while the world sleeps, choosing sweat over slumber. It's grinding in the shadows, unseen and unpraised, pouring effort into the quiet hours. It's staring down the ache, the weariness, the whispers of defeat, and stepping forward regardless, fueled not by mood, but by resolve. Master that iron will, learn to march past the protests of your emotions, and no summit will stand beyond your reach. The moment you stop stalling, stop wavering, stop swallowing the tales your feelings spin, you unshackle your potential. Declare here and now that your spirit won't bend to passing whims, commit to forging ahead come what may, and then act on it. Kobe Bryant once said, "The moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win." Don't hand your victories away. Not later. Not when the calendar flips or the stars align. Delay, and you'll wake one morning to find your life slipped through your fingers, hijacked by hesitation, frittered away by the wait for readiness that never comes. You'll see the dreams you cradled now dust, because you let fear, fatigue, and indecision call the shots. That's the thief of time, not circumstance, but your own surrender to comfort's lure. But seize the reins today, push through the friction, prize discipline above ease, silence the deceit, and you'll stand one day gazing back at a life you claimed. You'll know you battled for every inch, that you didn't let fleeting shadows chart your course. That's the line between a saga of triumph and a footnote of remorse. So what's your move? Will you drift under the sway of emotion, or rise as the architect of your fate? If you're scanning for a signal, here it is. Stand, stride, build, and never let your feelings hold the pen again. Your tomorrow is pacing restlessly. It's not holding its breath for a flawless dawn. It's not loitering for a jolt of inspiration. It's not twiddling its thumbs until you feel primed and poised. It's standing there, arms crossed, demanding you meet it with action here, now, this very day. The souls who sculpt their fates, the ones who breathe life into their visions, who vault over the hurdles of excuses, dread, and uncertainty, they're the ones who tuned out the static of their emotions and dialed into the steady hum of discipline. They didn't wait for the green light of confidence. They lit the path themselves. Michael Jordan didn't sink those clutch shots because he felt flawless. He did it because he trusted the hours of unglamorous repetition. Discipline doesn't negotiate with your mood. It commands, "I don't give a damn how you feel. Rise and get it done." It snaps, "Not in the mood to push? Tough, start anyway." It growls, "Motivation's missing. Doesn't matter. Keep moving." It's the unrelenting drill sergeant that drowns out the whines of your inner quitter, shoving you past the fog of reluctance into the clear air of progress. And here's the kicker. Those feelings you're wrestling, they're fleeting phantoms. They'll twist and turn, but they don't stick around. That nagging murmur urging you to stop fades the moment your feet hit the ground running. Action doesn't wait for emotions to align. It outruns them, leaving them gasping in the dust. So don't stall. Your future's clock is ticking, and it's discipline, not sentiment, that'll carry you across the line. Reflect on this. How often have you braced yourself for a grueling session only to find your stride once you began? How many times have you eyed a daunting challenge with dread, yet discovered it was manageable once you dug in? How frequently have you teetered on the edge of giving up, only to hear a quiet, stubborn voice urge you onward, and thanked yourself later for listening? These aren't flukes. They're revelations. That's your evidence. It's the glaring sign that your emotions are spinning falsehoods, that they're unreliable narrators of your story. It's the living proof that motion flips the script. Yet so many never crack this code. They stay trapped, paralyzed by the myth that action hinges on feeling just right, a delusion that keeps them pacing in circles while the world races by. Most linger on the sidelines. They hold out for a surge of courage that never arrives, for an ideal window that never opens. for a savior to swoop in and ignite their fire. They lean on the crutch of someday, betting on an external push that's never promised. Kobe Bryant once said, "Everything negative, pressure, challenges, is all an opportunity for me to rise." The ones who soar don't wait for permission. They seize it. No one's riding to your rescue. No one's tasked with dragging you from your own headspace. No one's assigned to prod you daily toward your potential. That's your mantle to bear. Shirk it and you'll stagnate, tethered to the same spot, or worse, slide into the mire of lost time. Life doesn't pause. Its pulse beats on, relentless, whether you're forging ahead or frittering away. The brutal truth? Most squander their days in the waiting game. Never grasping that doing, not dreaming, is what turns the tide. Will you join the ranks of the idle? Will you keep handing your reins to the whims of your heart? Or will you snap awake, grip the helm, and proclaim that you're the one calling the shots? The choice looms before you, stark and unyielding. Drift with the crowd, or carve your own current. You're not frail, you're not powerless. You're not chained to the ebb and flow of your emotions. There's a might within you, fiercer than you've dared to dream, but it stays buried until you summon it. You unearth that power by facing the dawn each day. Feelings be damned, opting for ascent over ease, resolve over retreat, momentum over delay. Michael Jordan didn't claim greatness by bowing to doubt. He proved it by showing up relentlessly. It's standing tall and swearing, "My emotions don't dictate me, I do." That's the battle cry of victory. That's how you break from the throng of those who dawdle, grumble, and fade into the gray. That's how you forge the existence you crave. One choice, one step, one defiant act at a time. Discipline isn't a gift. It's a gauntlet you throw down to yourself, daring the world to watch you rise. Your future self is peering back through time, tracing every move you make today. Each fork in the road molds the figure you'll meet down the line. So shed the waiting game, ditch the alibis, and reject the tales your feelings weave. Start striding, start building, start transforming. This is your saga. No one else can wield the pen. Rise now and unleash a force that silences doubt with purpose, proving to all what happens when you heed your calling over your comfort. Your calling towers over your emotions, the destiny you envision, the life you yearn to lead, the mark you aim to leave. It all looms grander than the fleeting moods that tug at your heels. Those whispers of weariness or doubt, they're specks against the vastness of your mission, powerless unless you grant them sway. Your feelings will spin their tales. You're too drained, the moment's not ripe, the stars aren't aligned. Tune them out. They're not guardians of your tomorrow, they're sentinels of stagnation. They crave the soft cushion of now, not the rugged climb to what could be. They'll coax you to shrink, to settle, to stay tethered to the safe and small, but you weren't born for that. The raw truth is this: greatness doesn't sprout from ease. It's forged in the crucible of resistance, hammered out by the choice to wrestle the hard road when every instinct screams for surrender. Triumph isn't a gift bestowed on the comfortable. It's a prize seized by those who grit their teeth and charge through the storm. Kobe Bryant didn't etch his legend by coddling his doubts. He conquered them with relentless effort. That's where discipline reigns supreme. It doesn't pause to poll your mood. It doesn't flinch at your fatigue. It doesn't linger for a spark of zeal. It rises, resolute, and gets to the task, because that's the engine of transformation. If you want to rewrite your story, that's your mandate. Stand when you'd rather sit, push when you'd rather pull back, and let discipline drown out the noise of your feelings until your purpose shines clear. You don't need a flawless blueprint. You don't need the stars to align. You don't need to feel primed and polished. All you need is to begin. One gritty step, one bold move, one choice to break the inertia. That first lunge into the fray, that first scratch of ink, that first outreach toward your aim, start there, then don't stop. Action, not perfection, is the spark. Once you ditch the hunt for the ideal mood and plunge into the doing, a marvel unfolds. Momentum gathers like a storm. Each time you show up, the load lightens. Each push past the sting of unease fortifies you. Each defiance of your inner hesitations renders you a force that can't be reined in. Michael Jordan didn't wait for ease. He built his dynasty on the back of ceaseless reps, proving that persistence trumps sentiment every time. Before long, the shift hits, not just in your frame or your wins, but in the steel of your spirit. You morph into someone who doesn't buckle, someone who doesn't lean on fleeting inspiration, someone who tackles the necessary, come hell or high water. That's the breed that claims victory. Not the dreamers who dawdle, but the doers who endure when the crowd thins out. The arena bows to those who press on, while others falter. It kneels to those who rise each dawn and vow, "My emotions won't script my fate." So where do you stand? Will you linger, spinning excuses tethered to the fables your feelings weave, or will you seize the wheel? Decide, right here, right now, to lunge forward, to climb, to act when every fiber resists. Do that, and no shadow, fear, doubt, sloth, or strain can bar your path. Your future's calling. Let your feelings trail in your dust or leave them behind. Either way, move.